Is your car making a really weird noise and you don't know what's going on? This is part 2 of my series of what's wrong with my car. Let's get started. So hey everybody, this is my second part of a 2-part series on the noises your car makes. And the first one, there's a link for that in the description below. It talks about the noises your car made when it was driving down the road. Now the car is going to be sitting still, just running. And what are some of those crazy sounds that can be coming from the engine? That's usually where they're always coming from because it's the only thing that can make noise then. But I've got a special guest with us today, and he is going to help us illustrate these sounds so we can have an expert's opinion on what they can make. Now, he is going to be our sound effects man, and I got this idea from my friend Jimmy, who owns Elvis's Plane. You guys might have seen his work on YouTube. And when he was a service writer, he would ask the people when they would come in, they say, "Yeah, my car's making a weird noise," and he's like, "Well, can you make that sound for me?" And he'd have them make whatever the weird sound was. And not that he needed it, he just liked to make him do it. He thought it was hilarious, which it is, great. But we're gonna have the wizard help us out today. And the first one I've got is just when you kind of hear just a kind of a constant metallic, kind of a metal sound. What does that sound like, wizard?
Heck.
That is lovely, dear, thank you. Yeah, and if it's constant, it doesn't really change, that is probably going to be, and I'm not exclusively, but probably going to be your timing chain. Some cars make a quiet noise you never can hear, just the normal sound of an engine, but some of them get really loud. And we actually just did a video on a Toyota 4Runner. And it was nothing but the normal sound of that really loud engine. Okay, so our second one, these are going to progressively get a little bit worse. And oh, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. You don't have to worry about it. But the second one, well, okay, now we've got kind of a small, kind of a roar. I think our kids made that noise when they were about, babies, 1-year-old. Yeah, I think they did. And that's the normal sound you probably hear when you have, kids make a car sound. But it sounds weird. It's not the normal engine sound. This is probably going to be an exhaust leak. Now, it might sound like it's up here. It might even sound like it's back there. But somewhere in your exhaust, the exhaust is leaking out and, well, making a little farty sound. Yeah, that's basically it. Do you have to worry about it? Not really. It's going to be annoying, maybe a little embarrassing because your car is running louder than it should. But does it hurt the car? No, not in the slightest. Now, if you hear a hum and it's louder, kind of sounds like something's weird, and you might actually feel this one, especially when you rev the engine. It actually might get louder when you rev the engine. You're like, ooh, what's going on? And you actually can maybe even feel vibration. What does that one sound like, Wizard? It's either that or a dying moose. But hey, that one, and it only happens with older cars. You're not going to have this sound with a newer car. It just can't happen yet. And that's going to be a motor mount. The motor is resting on these like rubber discs or rubber mounts. Sometimes they're kind of like these pentagonist shapes, kind of weird things. And over time, and the weight of an engine weighing on them, and the vibration and the bouncing of your engine, they slowly get flatter and flatter and flatter. This is really common on Mercedes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very common European car problem.
Yeah, but it can happen to anybody, and that's why you're feeling it, is because the metal of this engine is resting on the metal of the car, and you're feeling it in the steering wheel because it's shaking the entire car. That's it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Oh, and by the way, that one is not serious either. It's just annoying, and you just need to get it probably taken care of, but it's not going to hurt the operation of your car at all. So the next one we have is kind of a dull rolling sound. That kind of sounds like a sound machine like you sleep to. Yeah. And that one, this one does get a little bit more serious. This one is probably your water pump, or the bearings in your water pump are starting to fail. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, and if that water pump fails, then you are no longer getting coolant, and they call it a water pump when it's not pumping water at all, it's pumping coolant, and that coolant is keeping your engine cool, which makes it from overheating, which makes it run. And if it gets too hot, ooh, bye-bye engine. If you start hearing that rolling sound, get that one taken care of as soon as possible. No road trips, no long drives. Get it taken care of, get it to the shop, because when it dies, it's bad news. So this next one, this one is scary. This one is really scary. You park your car one night, you go in to the house, you come out the next day, you turn the engine on, and it sounds like, whoa, did your car get possessed? It kind of sounds like it. You have unfortunately had your catalytic converter just cut off your car. Yeah, our daughter had that happen in her apartment, and the sad thing was her Ring doorbell even saw the people, but it didn't alert her that something was happening. She didn't know 'cause she was in an apartment. Yeah, she woke up and she's like, what's wrong with my car? She calls me. I'm like, you have someone else you know that works on cars. Calls me and says, Mom, what's wrong with my car? It's making this really loud noise. I'm thinking, really loud noise. Did the engine die? What's going on? I said, well, call your father. So she calls Dad, and yeah. So you've got two things to do when that happens. The first one, you do report it to the police, let them know that it's happened. And then the second one, you get it fixed. Does it hurt anything?
Not really.
No, it's just insanely embarrassing.
Very embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. Have you guys driven down the road before and heard those kind of cars? You're just like, is there a plane landing? Is there a helicopter near here? No, it's just a car with no muffler, because it's cut off that section between the engine and that muffler. So you know how much a muffler muffles once you get your cat cut off. And then the last one, you just hear a loud tapping. Yeah, kind of sounds like a sprinkler when it goes. Yeah, and we're standing by Hoovy's Challenger today because it had this problem. And it was because it's a Hemi, and Hemis have a ticking problem anyway. But this can be very serious. Okay, it can be insanely serious. As we know from Hoovy's engine here, it has cost thousands of dollars to rebuild because it wasn't a fixable problem. The first thing, if you start hearing tapping, you immediately go check your oil. Pull that dipstick out and you check your oil. And for some cars, they start making that noise when it gets a little low. Okay, really low. And you can put oil in it and hopefully it goes away. If that happens, the first thing you do if that happens is you put an alarm on your phone for about every week and you check your oil. And if after a week it's okay, maybe you could change it to maybe every other week. But every other week, you set an alarm, you know you're off every Sunday afternoon, you set an alarm for Sunday afternoon, and you go check your oil. Yeah. Because if you don't, how many times do we forget things? How many times have you just forgot to take the trash out? You know trash is a certain day every week, but you forgot. How often could you forget to check the oil on your car? It was easier back in the day. Filling stations, they used to do it for you. They'd fill up your gas and check your oil.
Yeah.
We don't do that today.
Not anymore.
No, not even the places where you are not allowed to pump your gas, like in Oregon. They don't check your oil.
No.
They just fill it up. So that's if the oil method works. If the oil method did not work and you still hear the ticking, you have a very, very large paperweight. What just happened, Wizard?
They need to get it to a shop and see where the ticking noise is coming from, but it could be a damaged engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a very expensive paperweight. So make sure that you check that one. That is the worst one that can happen. Could there be other noises in here? Sure, they get more weird and obscure, but these are the main sounds. Can you think of any other sounds I've missed, Wizard?
If you go to start your engine, it'll sound like if your starter's going out and it goes to engage through the gears, it'll sound like metal ripping, like ring. It'll sound really bad.
That's true. Or if the starter's dying and it can't catch a gear and it goes kick, 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 kick.
Low battery or something.
Yeah, or the starter's dying and it can't, yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of more sounds that they can make, but that's pretty much it. And luckily, most of them aren't terribly bad.
Right.
Sound-wise. I mean, are there things that can go bad in here that don't make a sound? Sure. Lots of things die that don't make any noises. So, I hope you've enjoyed my video today. Hope you've enjoyed our sound effects expert with us for the day. If you haven't checked out that first video, make sure you do. That link is in the description below. Anyway, see ya.